Okay, now we are finally ready to start building this farm. So first off, like right here, I've already deleted them. I should have left them, but you might have some blocks kind of like this going, connected to these top blocks here. If you have those, just go ahead and delete those two blocks all the way around. Now, to get started, you're going to need some glass. You're going to need a whole bunch of signs. You're going to need a whole bunch of lava. Now what we're going to do is starting right here on this bottom layer of prismarine, directly in line with your little archway, you're just going to make a whole line of glass here. And go ahead and continue that up until you reach the top of this prismarine. So just fill all this in. Then come on these little corners here and make that level with the top as well. Tell you what, while we're at it, just go ahead and do 2 more layers all the way across. Great. So now, right here, counting this prismarine block as 1, we're going to go over 5. So 1, right, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, because these tanks are 5 by 5. And go ahead, now we've done that, do it on this side too. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to drop down to where this first prismarine is and bring that all the way across. And you're going to go up a block and do the same thing. So now what we want to do is, using the glass that we have laid out, we want to bring all this up till it's even with this line here. So we want to make one big box of glass. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. If you can't tell already, you're going to need a lot of glass because we're doing 5 of these tanks. It's going to be 5 tanks that you can turn on and off, and that's the cool feature, because if anything breaks or say you want to change stuff up, you can turn it off so you don't have guardians spawning. Alright, so now that we've done that, I've got a lot of stuff on the ground that's aggravating me. Let me pick some of this up. Okay, so let me get out a temporary block. And I'm just going to place it here. This is just like scaffolding because I am on console, so to go into sneak mode I can't be flying. Now on line with this prismarine, this line here, we're going to put a bunch of signs. So on the sides, you're going to put a sign on each pane of glass or prismarine, just every block within this Y level. And then you're on I'm getting tongue twisted here. On this block here, you're going to place a sign and go into sneak mode, and then you're going to place signs on top of each other all the way across. And that's as far as I can go. So let me take out the scaffolding. These are just temporary blocks. And we're going to go down 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do the same thing on this level. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in some blocks that I can stand on, so I can go into sneak mode. We're going to do the same thing on this level, leaving a gap of 2 blocks there. It's very important. That's where our lava is going to go. But first we need to get these signs in, because if you're on survival and you don't do your signs first, you might just burn alive. Well, will you please stay on this? And same thing, do your signs going down the middle. Now one thing I should note here is that, say we have these signs stacked on top of each other. If something happens and you break the block that first sign is attached to, all your other signs will break. I'll go ahead and I'll show you on this one. So my signs are attached to this block, so I'm going to break it. See, all my signs popped off there. So keep that in mind. So be a little extra careful when you're working around your farm here, because once there's lava in there, it's going to be a lot harder to go back and fix this. Even with a fire resistance potion, it's going to be difficult because you're going to have flames in your face. So now is a good opportunity to start putting in lava before we do anything else. So it's going to be a little bit easier for me, of course, because I'm in creative. But so we have a 2-block space, right? Goes all the way around. So on the sides, on the top block of your two block space, you're going to put lava on every block. And from an outside view, it should look like that. Okay, now, and this is going to get very repetitive, now we got to do some more signs. I promise this is the last signs for this tank. I'm going to go ahead and put down a little temporary space for me to stand on. And we're going to do the same thing. You're going to go down 2 blocks. 1, 2. And this is where you're going to start putting your signs. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And do the signs down the middle. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put lava on each of these top blocks. Great. Now you may be asking yourself, why did we split these up? Why not just remove these signs and make one big lava chamber? And the reason is if you did that, you would have 4 or more lava spaces. You will not get items out of your drops. So even if we, just right now it's a 4 space, right? You got 2 spaces of lava here, 2 spaces of lava here. Okay? If we deleted these signs, then we would have 5 spaces of lava, which would kill the guardians before they even reach the bottom of the lava. Okay, so you might think, so why not just make this only, one big block of 4? And the reason for that is the guardians would die right at the moment of leaving the lava, and your items would burn up as well. So having this little air block here in between will allow the guardians to pass through and fall onto some hoppers or something, and they will burn up as soon as they hit the hoppers, which is what you want, right? So now our killing mechanism is complete. So under here is where we'll do our hoppers, but we'll actually finish building the tanks first. So the killing mechanism is complete. But now we're going to need, a spot for them to spawn, because they're not going to spawn here. They need to spawn in water. So we're going to build this to 1 block below the sea level. And sea level is where our sand is. 1 block below that. Now, let's just run this across, because I told you before, guardians spawn at your decorative piece, right? This is 1 block above that, as you can see. Now the reason we're doing that is, this gets really hard to explain, but guardians are not going to spawn right up against the ceiling and right up against the glass. They're going to need a little bit of room. So to maximize our spawning spaces, we're going to go 1 block above that. And I'm just going to keep this. I'm going to try to get this in line. It should be here. That way we know how high up to build. And you might notice that we are actually losing some spawning spaces. So spawning spaces will actually start right here above the sign in our farm. Technically, eligible spawning spaces start here. So we are losing that little bit, but that's not that big of a deal, really. If it's a big deal to you, you can lower this down to this point here. So your first spawning spot, you can lower this whole farm down to this point here, and you will get those extra few spawning spaces. That's completely up to you. To me, it's not necessary. And it just gives you more work when you start building your, putting in your hoppers to collect drops and stuff like that. So now what we need to do is all this glass needs to be brought up to this level here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this will probably take a while. I should probably put some music in here to make this more interesting, but it's not. Awkward silences are fun too, right? It's great, like MLG Pro gameplay here. I will say this, by the time we're done with this, if somebody wants to go and make a like a resources list, like how much stuff you're going to need to build this farm, and put it in the comments, that would be great. I know the amounts for some stuff, but I didn't want to, you know, come up with how much glass you need and stuff like that. And luckily, since we're using glass here, you know, all that sand that you used in the middle, you just put that straight into like a super smelter or something like that, turn it all into glass. So all that sand that you mined to get the water out of this farm can be reused. You know, it's not just going to be wasted and you're just going to have a whole bunch of chests full of sand. Now you can smelt it up for glass to use in this farm, which is exactly what I did on my survival world. And this is a lot of glass. I realize that, because this is only tank 1. We're doing 5 tanks. And it looks epic when it's done. So it looks about like maybe 2 more layers here. One more layer after this. Well, if I could count, I would have known that those extra layers. Whatever, doesn't matter. We're getting it done. Okay, so now this is your spawning chamber and your killing chamber are now complete. And I can prove that with, let me do this. I'm going to cover this whole thing in an opaque block. And the reason for that is if the water that guardians are spawning in can see the sky pretty much, your rates will be reduced by 50%. But don't worry, at close to the end when we're ready to start putting in our dispensers and stuff, we'll actually go through here and do this. But I'm just going to do this just to show you that this is ready to work. So let me get out some water. See, I'll break this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then we'll do this one, this one, this one, and this one. And we'll put water in all these. And hope I didn't mess up my signs, or else we're going to have a whole bunch of obsidian there. Now, if I back up, okay, I actually had to cut the video there because I made a mistake. Something I didn't mean to do, but I placed the water, right? You saw me place the water in just the holes there, and it didn't fill up the whole tank, and I was like, what in the world's happening? And I remembered, that actually this water would be coming out of dispensers, and that's why it didn't work. So just to show you that it does work, I placed these blocks here so I can come on the inside and place water, and I'll know where to place it correctly. So let me place water on all these prismarine blocks. Maybe I won't have too many more derps. We'll see. And I'll place opaque block there. And then I'll back up a little bit, because if you're too close, guardians won't actually spawn. Now, it may take them a little while to spawn because A, I'm in peaceful, and B, they have limited spawning spaces because we only have 1 tank there. But guardians will spawn. See, there's one. Now, they will spawn a lot faster when we get in multiple tanks, but there's only 1 tank there, so the spawning spaces are very, very limited. So this is to show you that this indeed does work, but let's move on from that. So let me get this water back out of here real quick. Don't be fooled by just those couple guardians spawning. Don't be fooled by that. The spawning spaces are actually super low right now. It's gonna get a lot better, trust me. Actually, I'm just going to remove this whole roof here because we're not ready for that yet. Okay, so now here's what you're going to need to do. I'm going to do this next part off camera. And you already know how to build one of these tanks. Now we're basically just going to be copying, pasting. Just one thing to note is that, okay, this wall is going to be the wall of your next tank. So you're going to have a tank here, your second tank, your third tank, your fourth tank, and your fifth tank. Well, we'll probably need to delete those blocks. They'll be right in the way. Now, being said that, okay, so this wall, each tank is touching each other, so there's no need to do like 2 layers of glass here, just a single layer. So this will be the leftmost, depending on where you're looking at, this will be the leftmost wall of this tank, and so on. Now that being said, the main body of the monument here is going to be your right wall. You know, you're not going to do a whole layer of glass. You're not going to do, you know, a glass wall along this ocean monument wall here. That's going to serve as the wall for your tanks. So keep that in mind. And you're going to want to replicate this whole setup here, all the glass, all the lava. You're going to want to do that 4 more times. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll catch back up when you're done. Okay, if you did everything correctly, you should have something that looks about like this. You have 5 tanks that look exactly the same, have the same exact dimensions. So now all that's left to do is put in our dispensers, wire up the redstone, and set up some sort of system to collect the drops. So to begin with, I'm going to use 2 different blocks here. Now you can use whatever block you want to on this top part. You have to cover it. You don't have an option there. You have to cover it or your rates are going to reduce by 50%. I'm going to use 2 different blocks. That way I can see, you know, like where the lines are, where my glass dividers are. And it makes it easier for putting the dispensers in because they have to go in a certain way. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a line of this, what is this, prismarine block. I'm going to do that all the way around the outside here. I think I just heard a skeleton inside my temple, so that will decrease my rates a little bit. And then on the glass that divides each tank, I'm going to do the same thing. So that way I can visually see from the top which, you know, where one tank ends and one begins. If I use all the same block, it'd be harder for me to tell. So that's just a personal preference. You don't have to do that. Now I'm going to fill in the rest with this just regular prismarine. And that was the last one. Okay, good. So now it's going to be time to do our dispensers, but we need to mark out where they're going to go. So they have to be offset. So for each tank, we're going to ignore this middle line here, the middle set of blocks. And what we're going to do is we're going to punch out this one, skip a block, skip a block, skip a block. Now you're going to do the exact opposite on this side. So if you have a dispenser here, there's not going to be one here. See what I mean? So we're going to dispenser here, here. See, they're offset from each other. And we're going to do that for each tank. Alright, great. Now in each one of these holes, you're going to put a dispenser with a bucket of water inside of it. I'm just going to fly on the inside. So you want your dispenser facing down. So you're going to have to do this from the inside. Be dispenser with the water bucket. Ooh, I did not realize on creative I'm going to have to do that. So let me clear up my inventory a little bit. So I'm going to need a lot of water buckets. You will too. Hopefully, and the amount of hoppers we're going to need, hopefully you have a good iron farm. If not, this may be a little rough for you if you have to, you know, go mine all of your iron. So hopefully you have a good iron farm. Okay, I did have a bucket in that one. So dispenser. Let's go ahead and just place all these in. That is dispenser, right? That's a dropper. There we go. Now all these have to have a water bucket inside. You want to be sure not to skip any of them because that will mess your farm up. And the first one already had one, so I'm just going to break out here and then replace that block. So now we need to go through there and do that for all of these. And I'm just going to skip ahead. I mean, that's not really hard to do. You can just do what I did on that first one and then do that for every hole. Once you've got all your dispensers with water bucket in, it's going to be time to start wiring up our redstone. So you're going to need just some block to work with. You're going to need redstone torch. You're going to need a lever. No, let's use a button. Use a button. You're going to need some repeaters. And you're going to need some dust. So how you're going to want to do this, let me get a different type of block as well. Alright, so say we want our button to be here. So put a button there. You're going to do what's called a torch tower going all the way up. So you're going to put a redstone torch, then a block, then a torch, and then a block. And you're just going to repeat this all the way to the top. And this is how we're going to power our dispensers. And a block, and that should work. So now what we're going to do, so I'm going to run redstone all the way down to the end, to here. You know what? A button is not going to work. We are going to use a lever. So put a lever there. Alright, back to the top. So run redstone all the way to the end, and now we're going to run redstone covering all the dispensers. And you're just going to do this in straight lines. That's the easiest way to do it. Straight lines coming from the main line we ran all the way down. Now of course we're going to need some repeaters here. That's why I went ahead and got them out. That signal's not going to be nowhere near strong enough on its own. I think we'll probably end up needing around 4 if I remember correctly. Whoops, don't need that there. And looks like we have just a couple more left. Now the reason I'm doing it like this is I don't want to count. So you get all the redstone in, then turn on the lever, then you can see where we're going to need a repeater. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn this lever on. Now our water is going to start flowing, and now I can see these down here don't have power. So let's just go ahead and let's break that one, put a repeater there. Now do these down here actually have power? Is this one turned on? I can't tell. But we, so let's put a repeater there. See, it just now turned on, so I was right about that. So probably let's go ahead and put a repeater here, and that'll get those. And I think, you know what, I don't think I need this, but I'll put it there anyways. Now these are going to be off sync, right? So now we need to sync these back up. So how can I do that? let's break this dust and then replace it. And that'll turn that off. Okay, it turns some of them off. Why is that? Interesting. Let's break this repeater. And then place a piece of dust. Okay, so that turned those off. That's what we wanted. Now some of these are off. This is a very silly thing that I shouldn't have to be dealing with, but that's what happens the way I put my repeaters in. So now some of these are off and some of these are on. So which ones are actually... If you count your repeaters first, you won't have to do this. So it looks like it's starting here. So I need to turn these off. So I can probably break that, put that there. So now these are off, and then I need to do the same thing on this side. So break that dust and place it back down. Now they're off. So now I need to turn them all back on, right? So they're all in the same state, which is what I wanted to do. And like I said, if you count your repeaters first, you won't actually have to deal with this. So let me break that repeater. And let's turn them all on together. Ouch, we're still having a problem here. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. There we go. So now everything's in sync, and if we back up, you'll see stuff actually starting to spawn. Which is what we want, right? Great. And their rates are starting to pick up. Oh yeah, see, they're really starting to kick out now. So that's good. That's what we want. But I don't want them to continue spawning because we don't have a collection system, so there's just going to be items on the ground. There is like a zombie or something somewhere in here. Ooh, I didn't light this up at all. See, this will directly affect my rates. So let me just do a little bit of torch spamming here. Apparently I missed a whole lot. There's a zombie somewhere, but I don't know where he's at. See, ideally I could use the sound to find them, but my speakers, the way I have them hooked up, left and right is swapped, so yeah. He's obviously close by, right? But where he's at, I don't know. So now I'm just getting further away. Up, here we go. This is where they're spawning at. So let me torch this up. I know this isn't relative to the video, but you know. We'll just torch. Woo! Okay, yeah, see, this is bad. All these would keep my guardians from spawning good. Okay, so that eliminated a lot. So now if I put it in peaceful and put it back into normal, that should be fine now. Okay, so now we need to set up some sort of system to... Oop, I meant to turn this off. Now hopefully we don't have a whole bunch of drops down here. And we do. Great. Let me pick all this. See, this makes a lot of items really fast. Okay, so now we're going to need some sort of system to collect the items, which we're not going to do anything fancy here. So what would be our middle block? The middle will actually be like right here on this line, which we don't really want that. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter. So let's get out some hoppers. And there's a couple of different ways you could do this. This is just going to be the way that I'm going to do it. Now, when they come out, they are going to be one hit kill. There's a bug in the game right now. You should be getting cooked fish, right? But there's kind of like a bug. But in the future, if you want to... Is there still water in there? Now, why is that one? I'll fix that in a minute. But I really don't want them spawning. This is kind of derpy, and I don't want to be dealing with this right now. But I need to get this fixed. So... break this redstone, because I don't want them to power. But let me cycle through this. Why didn't that change the state of those? It's kind of weird. Very interesting. So I don't want these to get powered again, so let me turn that back off. So I don't want these to get powered again. Let me put repeaters there. Let me cycle through this again. Now this one here is staying on for some reason. So it's out of sync with the rest of them. So if it's just one, it'll probably be easier. Just to fix it manually. I would imagine. Yeah, I'll just fix that manually. Sorry about this. This was a mistake I made on my own. I shouldn't have did that, but I did it, and so now I'm having to fix it, right? But it's okay. Okay, so now I don't want any power going up here at all. None. No power. I don't want these to do that again. So let me put my redstone back. If I wasn't in a hurry to make this, that wouldn't have happened. Okay, so now they're good. I don't know how that got off sync a minute ago. That was kind of weird, because it was working just fine. But oh well. Okay, so now we're going to want some sort of system to collect them. And I don't recommend putting these hoppers in any more than probably, I don't know, 2 blocks down. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You can run your hoppers down and have like a big, like in my world, my hoppers go down and I have like a huge sorting system and storage room, okay? Which you kind of need with this, because this is going to make a lot of items really fast. So let's just set that up. So I'm going to go into the middle here. I'm just going to run out a temporary block. We'll do it here. Temporary block to get to the basic middle of the farm we'll just use this block here. So I'll leave that block. Now, as you can see, I have like this big dark area. Yours might be differently, so, you know, same thing. Need to light this up. This torch spam here. So I'm going to take my hoppers and I'm going to run them. Whoops, let me go into sneak mode here. I'm going to run my hoppers going into this block. Because there's no point in me doing another hopper here, because the wall's here. In which, if you have this same scenario, you're going to want to take some blocks, really, And you're going to want to make a wall here to keep guardians from flopping down into that hole. So you're going to want to continue this wall all the way down. That's just going to be a good practice to save your drops. Now this hopper will be, we'll do it going down. So all of our hoppers are going to feed to this one hopper. So you will build your storage room based off of this hopper here, okay? But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to put that hopper going into a double chest, just so you know you can kind of see the race. So now we need to fill this entire, underneath all these killing chambers where they're going to fall. All this needs to be going into these hoppers. So I'm just going to run a line all the way down of hoppers facing into each other. You can see how they're feeding into each other, and I'm going to do that all the way across. Now if iron is a big problem, like if you don't have a good iron farm or something, there are other ways to set this up. This is just the way that I prefer to use. And it looks like we'll do, what, 2 more on this side. And I'll just run these going back this way. It does, as long as they all lead to that main block somehow, or that main hopper, I mean. And now we need to do the same thing on this side. So it's going to run down this far here. And we need to do that all the way down to every single one. That's far enough. Alright, so that is your collection system set up. These actually went out too far. And you'd want to do the same thing like, okay, like I was saying here. You know, you're going to want to build a wall. You're not going to want your guardians to be able to flop out of this area right here. So build up a wall, and you're going to do it underneath this glass as well. You don't want them being able to escape, because every guardian that escapes, that's items you're going to lose. So let me go over here and just go ahead and do that. Alright, so now that's blocked in. And we won't have any spawns because of the lava's giving off enough light. So now let's cut this farm on again. I forgot to put this redstone in. There we go. And then we'll back up and let things start to spawn. And they're starting to spawn better now because I got rid of those mobs in there. And they will only continue to spawn better. The rates will just keep going up. And you can see we got quite a few spawning in now. And a couple of them will be able to swim, but it's not that big of a deal. Eventually, they will fall down and more keep spawning. Now that I'm getting closer, they're going to stop spawning. So just let me go over here, make sure we have our hoppers linked up right. And you can see our items, and you can hear a couple of them flopping up there, which is fine. But that's literally it. That's the farm done. So, you know, if you stuck with it, you know, congratulations. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. I hope this farm serves you well. Oh yeah, they're starting to spawn really good now. This is the same farm I have in my survival world, and it works great. It looks good being able to keep the temple there. And the more of your caves, see, I haven't lit up any caves or anything. Okay, I haven't gone underground and lit up caves and all that. But the more of that you do, the more, you know, the better it will work for you. And as you can see, this one's working pretty good now. If I back up even more, it'll work better. More spaces will become available. But you can see this is working good, but it's working just fine. Really, at rates like this, there's no point in me going underneath. But if I wanted it to be even better, I'd go line up all the caves and all underneath it, and it can only get better, you know. But, you know, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, leave me a comment. You know, this video took a long time to make. There's a lot of effort going into this. This just isn't like a simple redstone tutorial. This required a lot of effort, so I appreciate any support I can get on this video. And until next time, y'all have a fantastic day.